Yay, welcome. We are on day 2 of Foundations Week. Today is all about body testing, which could be called muscle testing also. Basically, it's using your body as a pendulum. So using your body to connect in with whatever you want to connect with. We'll talk about specific energies to really get your intuitive yes or intuitive no to help you live your most aligned life. That's really the short span of that. And then just in case you weren't here yesterday or didn't watch yesterday's video, yesterday was day 1, all about pendulums. Today will be very similar because we are still kind of talking about pendulums. It's just our body this time. So there will be some repetition, which I feel like sometimes is good so it can kind of anchor in further. And the whole reason I'm doing this week. So some of you are going to be here watching this in the membership portal, either because you want to go back to the foundations to really get those tools and feel more confident in that, or you just joined Spirit Guide University. Welcome, congrats. And you want to get started with all of that. This is here for you. Or I'm also running this free live, so anyone that also is not in the membership is more than welcome to join. But the whole point is so when I do open the doors next, I can have this Foundations Week course ready for everyone so they know exactly where to get started. And then they can jump into the live workshops feeling like they know the tools already, since I won't be teaching how to do the live tools in the workshops. Okay, that all being said, there are many different ways to do body testing. There are many different ways to get like an intuitive yes or no using your body. If you've ever, I'm going to mainly just be going over one today, but I'm just going to talk about a few in case at some point you're guided to do it a different way. So there's a bunch of different ways I'm going to talk about, but however, you may also be guided a totally different way than what I talk about. And we're going to practice literally just using our whole body today. But different ways to do muscle testing. If you've ever been to like a naturopath or even like an acupuncture type person, they will do like the pressing down on your arm. So you can kind of like a yes is, I don't remember if your arm stays the same or if your arm goes down, one's yes and one is no. You might have had that done to you before. Some people will use their fingers, where like a yes and a no, one is like your fingers feel stuck, and the other one, your fingers kind of slide. Um, I I was going on a walk one day. This is just showing you how you can be guided to use it differently. I was going on a walk one day and I was walking, and for me, my yes is like leaning to the right and my no is leaning to the left. And when I was walking, I was kind of asking questions in my head, and my body literally started walking diagonal right for a yes and diagonal left for a no. And I was like, what? I didn't even know something like that was possible. So I want to share that with you just because you could be guided in some kind of like weird way that you're still able to get your answers. And then that started being, instead of like sitting down and using my pendulum to kind of get my answers, I started going on walks and I would literally look like I still look like a crazy person, probably walking around my neighborhood because I'm talking to myself the whole time. And I'm like asking all like, is it in my highest alignment 2 questions? And my body will kind of like walk right or walk left, but still straight. So that's another way like that I've gotten my answers. Now also like if I'm in the car, my neck will like, my head will kind of go one way for yes and one way for no. Like I can barely feel it. And sometimes it's even more of a internal feeling of which way my head's going. But just know that we're going to talk about your whole body today, but you might at some point, it might get more like smaller movements or different ways that it's going to work for you. So one way today, really, but there are like probably an infinite amount of ways that you can really use your body to get your yes and no. Okay, why are we even talking about this? Why do we care about using our body as a pendulum? My favorite reason is because then you don't need any tools. So I love having tools. I love using the pendulum. I love using like the oracle cards, the tarot cards, journaling, all of it. However, it's also really neat if you're just out and about and maybe you don't have like a necklace on that you can use as a pendulum. You could just use your body as a pendulum. I remember the first time I did this when I was out. This was like years ago. So I don't drink alcohol anymore. But at the time when I was first going over body testing, I still did. And I literally remember I was for a weekend away with my husband, and we were about to get drinks at like a bar, and I was trying to figure out like which drink is in my highest alignment, which is just so funny because typically alcohol is not in our highest alignment. However, I was trying to figure out which drink was in my highest alignment, and I was standing there and I was like asking and like trying to feel into like which one was the best. So I always think back to that when I'm like some of the first times using my body out and about or in the grocery store. That's another great one. If you're like looking at, just you're trying to make a choice of whatever, what your body most needs. I've seen people on like shorts or stuff like take their pendulum out in the grocery store. I mean, I would feel weird doing that, but I think it's cool other people do. But you could like maybe your simple situation. You're like picking out melons or something, and you're like, pick up a melon. It's like, is this the melon that's meant to come home with me? Like, is this one in my highest alignment? Just trying to, that's like such a simple example, but that's like a really easy way to kind of use it. Most people also find when they're standing that it's a little easier for them to do it, and we'll practice both ways today. But I just really like it because you don't need to have any other tools. The way for most people, so for me, and I would say most people find using the pendulum is a little easier. And then after the pendulum, it's like body testing is like kind of the next way, taking like the next step of like not using a tool, but still having your body. However, some people, it's completely flipped. So if you feel like a pendulum is just, you're having a really hard time with the pendulum, sometimes body testing is actually easier for you. And for some people, it's the opposite. Some people have a really hard time kind of trusting the movement of their body, but they have a much easier time seeing the movement with their pendulum. So just know it's not that one is better or worse. It's not that one's easier or harder. It's really just going to be dependent on your own energy and kind of just where you are in your journey. Some things are just going to be more aligned at different points. And it could also be something that you come back to. So maybe you first try body testing and you're like, I'm not getting anything, or you're like, this is just like too frustrating or something. It's probably either you need more practice or you're just not meant to be doing it right now. But then at some point down the road, maybe you like really lean into using your like oracle cards or something. And then all of a sudden you start feeling like, oh, it might be neat to try body testing again. Then you can go back to it. So it's also something that with all of these tools, I feel like they're very like flowy, very flexible. There's times where it's like I go really hardcore into one and then it kind of falls away and I'm drawn towards another one. And there's other times where I feel like people are drawn to all of them at the same time. And that's also a possibility. Okay. Okay, who do we connect with? What are we connecting with when we do it? Similar to pendulums, it's really up to you. I personally, similar to pendulums, like connecting with my higher self when I do body testing or my body. So with body testing, it's such like a nuanced thing because we are our higher self and we are our body. So it's kind of like, are they really different? But if I'm asking like what would I ask my body? I might say like body, is it in like my highest alignment to drink more water right now or to drink tea or to have coffee? Like things that I'm doing to my body, I might actually ask my body like, do I need to give more examples? You get what I mean. Um, Things that I would connect with my higher self, which is normally what I'm doing, is connecting with my higher self. And we'll go through all of this, how to do it. Is like, is it in my highest alignment to go grocery shopping today? Or is it in my highest alignment to call so-and-so today. Is it in my highest alignment to run this call today? So just anything that's more like a little more outside of my body, I'm asking like my higher self about. You can definitely connect with other things, though. It doesn't have to be your body or your higher self. It could be a past loved one that you kind of are channeling through your body. I personally don't do that. If I wanted to connect with like an ancestor or a past loved one, I'd probably use my pendulum to do that, or like sitting in meditation. But that's probably just because I'm not asking their advice. That's probably why. If I'm using my body, I'm looking for like answers to like making a decision. And personally, I don't do that for like past loved ones or ancestors. I'm going to go to my higher self for that. Where if I was doing like journaling, that might be like a neat thing to connect with a past loved one or an ancestor over. You could also be connecting to like a highest aligned spirit guide. But again, for me, I would like if I'm trying to get a message, I might connect with a spirit guide. But if I'm asking for decisions about myself, I'm typically asking my higher self, unless you've done a lot of work with your spirit guides and you know you have a certain spirit guide that helps you with a certain situation. So like example, like business, like I know when I'm working on business stuff, sometimes I ask my higher self still just because that's what I normally do. But I might connect specifically, like ask, okay, I'm purposely connecting with my business guide, spirit guide, and then ask the question. Okay. Any questions so far or anything we want to bring up in the chat? Go for it. I'm going to sip my tea. Both my kids are sick, of course. My throat started feeling weird yesterday. So I'm like, I need to get all the liquids today. It's also totally fine if you don't have questions. I'm just feeling into where we're going next with this. Okay. So let's practice. Okay. Now, I do think it's very helpful, especially at first, to really spend, even if it's just 3 deep breaths, getting centered and in your body, because we're really going to be kind of hyper aware of our bodies when we're doing this. The more you practice this, the less you have to think about it. So, like now, if I'm going to ask a question body testing, which I do all day long, probably too much, but I feel like that's also just how my life is aligned to do it. Um, I don't say like, I don't purposely spend time like getting present in my body, connecting with my higher self, like what I'm going to walk everyone through today. I just ask the question and I get the answer. However, when I first started practicing this, I always spent time doing what we're about to do. So you can kind of just feel in as you move after today, if you feel like you want to keep practicing with this, or if you're already practicing, keep going. You can just feel into like, how much do I really need to do to get present in my body before I can ask the questions? Or can I just go ahead and ask them? Because that might totally work for you too. Okay. So to get present in your body, literally all you have to do, at least the way that I like to do it, is just put my hands over my heart space and take 3 deep breaths. So feel free to do that with me. I like to close my eyes when I'm doing it, but you don't have to. You could say something like, welcoming all my energy back into my body right now. So just bringing all of my energy back into my body. If you're someone who really feels a little ungrounded, so a little like, just it's hard for you to get in your body and present. Maybe you want to hold on to a crystal that can help you for grounding. Typically, that's like a dark colored crystal, like brown, black, or green. Not always, but maybe you want to hold a crystal. Maybe you want to imagine that you're kind of like you're body's just touching the earth, or imagining the earth coming up to you. Or I know a lot of people like to imagine like roots coming out of the bottom of their feet. So you could always bring grounding into this. I even have like, if you're into essential oils, this is like the balanced grounding blend, but you could always like sniff an essential oil. um, However, all you really need to do, I think, is just hands over your heart, take a few nice deep breaths, really getting into your body. Um, and yes, Maggie's asking, is it hard to work on this when dealing with any loud body pain? I definitely think it is more difficult to do it when you have a lot of pain already in your body, because you're going to have to be putting that aside to be focusing on your body. However, it doesn't mean you can't do it when you're having a lot coming up. I think sometimes it's actually even helpful to like I just said, push it aside, but that's not going to be good for all of you. For some of you, it's like you kind of almost have to compartmentalize it, whatever, you know what I mean. But some of you are going to be guided, whatever feels more right for you, to actually focus on the pain, like almost like when you're coming into your body. Don't try to like put the pain away. Sometimes it can be different for everyone. Some people need to kind of push it aside and be like, okay, I'll come back to you later. But some people do better if you actually are coming into your body, focusing on the pain. This is even if you're just living your normal life and you're having a lot of pain. Sometimes it's like, it's almost like it's a little kid, not all the time, but sometimes it's like a little kid that's screaming for your attention. And if you keep pushing it away, same with emotions. If you keep pushing it away, pushing it away, pushing it away, it just keeps coming back, and sometimes louder. Where if you actually sit with it and you let yourself feel it, and like I allow myself to feel this. And if you're a little further along on your journey, you could even ask, like, what do you need me to know? Like, what is this pain? What are you telling me? Sometimes there is an actual spiritual message with the pain. Also, I know I'm going like off on a side note, but sometimes there's a spiritual message with the pain. And sometimes if you do like bring the pain in, almost like it's a little kid, you allow the energy of the pain. Sometimes it will quiet down, or if you kind of get a thought about something and then it'll kind of dissipate. Not all the time though. That's if it's like a spiritual kind of pain. Okay. Um, thank you, Danielle. Excellent side note. I'll take it. Yeah, so getting present in your body. And this is something we can do whenever, even if we are not trying to get an answer. We can just take 3 deep breaths and put our hands over our heart and feel into our body. Is it telling us anything in this moment? So sometimes it's just a nice opportunity to like check in with your body too and just see. And then you can ask your body, like, body, do you need a rest? Or body, do you need more water? Or body, do you need whatever? And with your body testing, you can get your answers. Okay, so anyway, we're in our body, called our energy back to us. Now, depending what you're going to do next, if you're just asking your body questions, you don't have to connect to anything because it's your body. So really you're already, or it's kind of like you're connecting with your body, I guess. We're getting present, we're connecting with our body. And then if you want to then connect with your higher self to ask your questions, which I would probably, you don't have to, I would suggest for today, you're going to want to connect with your higher self because we're going to be figuring out our yes and no. But again, you could also just ask your body, but I am going to ask to be connected to my higher self. So you can ask in your head, you can ask out loud, you can just, by me saying this, you're probably already being connected. I'm just going to be quiet for a second so I can know how I'm meant to tell you to connect. Okay, so something as simple as just I connect with my higher self, or thank you for this connection between me and my higher self. I'm seeing almost like sometimes I see this like an infinity symbol, but it usually goes horizontally. I picture it vertically, and I picture it coming from like, so here's my head. the infinity symbol kind of like starts here and reaches up, but it goes up a lot higher than I'm showing you. And it goes up, and I'm imagining that it's connecting me to my higher self, whatever that is. So some of you, that might be helpful, even if you're not literally seeing it, but you're just kind of imagining that between like above the crown of your head, that there is like this infinity symbol being drawn vertically, and it's like really stretched out, and it's reaching all the way up to where your higher self, the connection with kind of that frequency is. And we're just asking to be connected with our higher self. I could say, if some of you like words, what words might I say? I connect with my higher self now for the highest truth, highest wisdom, and guidance on my highest aligned path. Thank you for this connection between me and my higher self, for my highest and best, and the highest and best of all. That's also kind of an interesting thing. So I always say, so I'm just going to talk for a few minutes as we deepen the connection between you and your higher self, or just deepening as I keep talking. That I like to say that my favorite way of asking questions is it in my highest alignment to blank? However, sometimes it can be interesting to change it a little bit. Like if I'm making a decision for my family, I might ask, is it in my highest and best? Is it in my husband's highest and best? Is it in this kid's highest and best? Is it in the other kid's highest and best? Sometimes it is not in the highest and best for everyone. It might be in my highest and best, but not in my 9-year-old's highest and best, which is just interesting information. And then sometimes I will ask a general, like, is it in my family's highest and best? Or if I'm deciding, like, say, to go to a family event, I might ask, okay, is it in my highest and best to go? Is it in my mom's highest and best? Is it in the highest and best of all? This just feels important for some of you. And then you could also change it a little bit too. So like if you run your like in terms of money, say you either run your own business or you're just looking at money in this way, but you could say like not even is it in my highest and best, like will this decision make more money? That's not how I want to say it. No, they don't want me to talk about it. Okay, there we go. We don't need to go further into that. We're good. Any more with that? Nope, that's all we needed. I think we're always connected, Stacy. So Stacy said, you were connected all the time. Are we all connected all the time? Or are you just connected all the time in my perception? Because I only see you when you're leading. Great questions. I love your brain. So I think we're always connected. However, I think when we're first starting out, we have to be a lot more conscious of connecting. So like when I was first playing with all these tools, I really had to sit down. I had to get really present. I had to do some breathing. I had to do some grounding and then ask the questions. So like, yes, I think we're always connected. However, the more you practice it, the easier it is to really like be more deeply connected all the time. It's funny, I was just asking my guides about this because I was talking about the Akashic records. And to me, the Akashic records are just, it's okay if you have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't worry about it right now. It's going to be for some of you or for you later. But the Akashic records to me is just a higher level of frequency that we can tap into. And I think when people start talking to their guides, talking to their higher self, it's kind of like your higher self is bridging that gap for you to get you to that higher frequency. And once you kind of live this path for a little while and you're just allow yourself to be guided and you just practice more connecting with your higher self, feeling into your body, just getting more like perceptive and more discerning, I think you just start living at that kind of Akashic records frequency, that higher frequency, that you don't even have to try to connect it anymore, which is why now I can just walk around the house and just ask questions and get answers, or go on a walk and get answers. But I think that I think that deeper connection just happens the more you play with energy and the more you practice and everything like that. But I do think on a whole, we're always connected like to our intuition. I just think it's just different levels of how conscious you need to be to actually like really connect in deeply. I don't know if that answered that at all. Good. Okay. Um, Ooh, Carolyn, when I do the deep breaths, my body starts rocking back and forth. What does this mean? Awesome. I would say you're moving energy. So, that would be a really interesting thing for you to try after this. When if you ever watch any of when I'm running a guided meditation, like either in the membership or on YouTube, if you ever open your eyes and look at me, I am doing the weirdest things. Like I am like, if we're clearing energy, I'm going like this, and my body is always doing something. So to me, it usually means if your body's moving, you're probably clearing or activating or integrating energy. So you might want to for anyone, you might want to just play with that like later, just sit kind of like in meditation, which literally just means sit, put your hands on your heart and just take deep breaths and just allow your body. I remember in yoga one time when I used to go to yoga, we were like standing up and she had us close our eyes and imagine we were like a tree or something. And you just let your body, she called it unwinding, just like letting your body unwind. So I think our bodies are so smart when we like really can take the time to like come into our body. So I would be curious if you like sat and just hands on your heart and like just let your body do whatever, and just kind of like I allow this release. It's probably a release, but it could be I allow this release if that feels good, or I allow this integration, or I allow this activation. Um, but yeah, to me, that's what it usually means. Of course, if anyone in the chat has a different interpretation, you can always throw it in. Okay, so we're present in our body. We're connected with our higher self. So we are going to practice this first. We're going to do it standing up. It's going to be like the same thing a bunch of different times. So you can see if you have the same movement and you can see which way feels easier. For most people, it is easiest to feel their body when they are standing and their eyes are closed. So we're going to try standing with our eyes closed. Then we'll try standing with our eyes open. Then we'll try sitting with our eyes closed, and then sitting with our eyes open. I had so much trouble when I first tried body testing. So let's just say this first, just in case you're going to have trouble. I had so much trouble. I could not figure out my yes and no. I was like, someone just tell me what it is. And I think a lot of it is because I was only trying it sitting down. The first time I tried this, it was my first Reiki teacher. I don't even know why we were doing it, but we were, and I was sitting and I just could not, I couldn't figure out what my body was doing. It was really annoying. So we're going to go through a bunch of different ways. If after you feel like, okay, I want to keep practicing this to really figure it out, that's a good sign that you should keep practicing it. If after you're like, oh my God, that was so annoying, I can't feel my body at all, I don't know what's going on, I'm going to guess it's just not in alignment for you to practice right now. And then you'll want to come back to it. And the next time will probably be a lot easier. Okay. However, some of you are going to be like, oh my God, did my body just move? This is like I always close my eyes, but when I watch people do this, this is so fun. Okay. So stand up if you can. I'm going to try to angle so you can. Okay. So we're standing. I am going to put my hands over my heart. If you cannot stand, you can have bare feet. It's totally fine if you have shoes on. However, if you feel like you're guided to have bare feet, then yes. If you cannot stand with your eyes closed without falling over, you could try like having your legs further apart or like just lightly kind of touching a wall or something. I obviously don't want anyone falling over. Okay, so I'm gonna stand. My legs are kind of like under my shoulders. I'm gonna have my knees not locked. So they're like, I can kind of like bounce a little if I want. Um, and then I'm gonna put my hands over my heart, take a nice deep breath. I kind of want like my body to feel loose. So I might like shake a little bit. My knees are bouncy. And then I'm just going to say, just like the pendulum, show me my yes. And then see if your body shifts at all. It might, for most people, a yes is forward and a no is backwards, but not everyone. For me, my yes is to the right, my no is to the left. So if nothing happened, you can kind of get centered again. Nice deep breath with your eyes closed and say, show me my yes. Some people also feel it internally and their actual body doesn't move. So if you're feeling like your body isn't literally shifting, you can always almost like go even more internally and see if you can feel like an upliftment almost for a yes. Okay, so now we're just gonna do like a test question, just like yesterday. So my name is, and then fill in your actual name. And see if you move at all. Oh, Stacy went forward. Fun. Okay, and now we're gonna do the same exact thing, eyes closed still, with no. Show me my no. And see if your body shifts or if you feel kind of the opposite of an upliftment, like a down motion or backwards motion or something like that. And then you can say like a false statement, like, I like eating something that you find disgusting. And then we're going to practice same exact thing, but now you can open your eyes and see if you get the same movement, different movement, more or less, all that. So it's funny, it feels weird keeping my eyes open this way. So I would just, nice deep breath into my body. I could even say something like I get present in my body, or I deepen the connection between me and my higher self. And then with your eyes open, you could say, show me my yes. And see what happens. And then you could say, like, I love to eat, and then make it be a true statement. And then with your eyes open, we could try the no. So we could say, show me my no. And then we could say, like, my name is, but fill in your wrong name. Okay. So if you want to keep practicing that, you're more than welcome to keep standing. But if you're ready to try sitting, I will also like wait a minute in case anyone wanted to share anything in the chat or ask a question. Ooh, Carolyn got some powerfully strong movements. It's wild. I remember the first time I was like really like felt it. I was like, oh my God. Um, let's see. Maggie, very strong forward, yes. Seconds before I said it. Back, no, but not as strong. Yeah, some people also will find they have a yes and then no response is a no, which is interesting. Or like less of a response is a no. So um, that, I don't know, that definitely happens. It was hard to discern if my brain was trying to go along with the yes and no when I knew answers to things. Yeah, totally. But even, and it's also totally what's really neat about body testing. Um, it is so entwined also. It's really neat, but it also makes it tricky. It's so entwined with you because it's literally your body that the closer you are, like the better your connection, the deeper your connection with your intuition, um, you're kind of like both guessing the answer at the same time and getting the answer at the same time. So sometimes it does feel like you're giving yourself the answer, but it's like it's because it's your intuition, like your brain, but it sounds like your brain, but it's actually you're like intuitively getting the answer in your head and your body's doing the answer. Um, which is also why it can be a great tool to deepen your intuition and just like get better at intuitively getting answers in general. Um, because you can kind of start guessing the answers at the same time when you're doing it. Um, let's see. Yeah. Yeah, Maggie said, sometimes lately I'll feel a ping in my neck. I feel like that may be related. Yeah, that feels intuition related, for sure. Martha, mine is subtle, but I have tried this before, and forward is consistently yes, and backwards is no. Yeah. Yeah. That is, I think, what it's like supposed to be. I think mine got messed up. It's fine. Like, because mine goes right and left. I think it's because I tried it sitting for so long and I couldn't, like, my body was not moving forward or backwards. I think if I had stood the first time, mine would probably also be forward and backwards. Julie, my yes was stillness. Oh, interesting. And my no was a definite tilt back. Yeah, it's kind of like as long as one of them you can discern, then the other one, it doesn't matter as much, right? Um, Carolyn's feeling a bit nauseous. Yeah, you probably, it's because you're so deeply connected with your higher self right now. So if you are feeling nauseous, what I would do is come into my body. So I would go back to like deep breaths on my body. Um, if you had a grounding crystal, you could do that, or like go outside or drink water. Drinking water feels good for you. Um, when we do this, it feels like on a human level, we're not doing anything right now, right? Like we're just hanging out, we're like chatting, maybe our bodies are moving a little bit. But energetically, there's a lot of work going on. When you connect with your higher self, you're connecting with a higher frequency than you're used to. So like I know I was talking about the Akashic records earlier, but when I first started like playing around connecting with that kind of frequency, that higher frequency, it did almost feel like I was like on a boat, like a little like I get seasick when I'm on a boat, so like kind of like not a good feeling on a boat. Um, and then what happens is the more you deepen that connection, the more used to those like higher frequencies, you don't feel the effects of it anymore because your energy just, I guess, like acclimates to it. You also, I know Carolyn, because your body was moving earlier. It sounds like you have a lot of energy that's ready to go. So it's probably going right now. You're doing a whole little energy work session on yourself just by being here. But I'm sorry that it doesn't feel good. Um, let's see, Danielle, my yes is on my right and no is backwards. Ooh, interesting. My no is stronger than my yes today. It'll be interesting when we try this sitting down too, if anything changes. Um, let's see. Mine goes diagonal forward right for yes and diagonal forward left for no. Oh, same as me. Stacy, so nauseous last night after meditating. It went away after I grounded into my surroundings and body. Yeah, energy work can feel really nauseating. I think it's mostly nauseating when it's like energy releasing, which could be like old emotions, old beliefs, old stories, stuff that's not even yours, stuff that's just ready to go. So yeah, anyway, first I would be like, okay, I allow this release. So I'm not fighting it. So I allow this release. Thank you for this release. And then I would really focus on whatever I can do to feel grounded. So, like to be present in my body. So, hand on my heart, taking deep breaths, drinking water. For some people, it's going outside, holding a grounding crystal, smelling oil that feels good to you. Okay. And obviously, if someone's feeling not like not any sort of way after one of these calls and you feel like it doesn't dissipate, just email me and I can we can look further into it to make sure. Okay. So let's practice sitting. So you can do this any kind of way. Obviously, you're going to need to sit in a way that feels comfortable for you. If I just sit like cross-legged, I personally don't feel my body move as much. If I sit on my knees, I feel it a little more. I'm sitting on a chair right now, but like I sit so horribly. I'm like on one leg and not on the other leg, but it's like enough off balance that I can feel my yes and no really easy. So just sit however you want, I guess. But I find if your knees allow it, for me, I feel it easier if I'm sitting on them. Or if you're just in an actual chair, then you can just sit regular in a chair. But if you're on the ground, I find it's hard to feel it unless you're on your knees. But again, that's me. We're all different. So sit however you want to sit. Danielle, by I allow this release. That's a great question. So, it means, so I think the energy is going no matter what. I think so much we're constantly kind of doing energy work, I think, without even realizing we're doing it. Just by like growing as a human, you're kind of energetically doing work, even if you're not literally like using a pendulum and calling on your higher self. I just think when we do it consciously, we can speed things up a little bit. Um, and I think some people, that's just their aligned path is to do it in the like doing all these, using all these kind of tools. Um, However, I think when we say behind it, like, I allow this release, to me, it's like any stuck kind of emotions or energy that's been like holding on to us, causing us pain, causing us stress, causing us tension, causing us to feel a certain way that we don't need to be feeling. When we allow it to go, because it's already kind of going anyway, it just kind of shoves it off faster. It's like you're just kind of transmuting the energy. It's a little hard to explain. It probably is a short-legged person thing because if I sit normal, I'm not at the right height for my laptop. Okay. Mac, you could try it on the bed. Definitely whatever feels right. Okay. Oh, the release. When I was talking about the energy releasing, I was talking because Carolyn said she was feeling nauseous. So energy releasing is like a separate topic than grounding. However, if you're doing a lot of energetic work, I do feel like it's really important to focus on grounding after, which all grounding means to me at least is just really getting in your body and like getting all your energy kind of like back in the present moment. Okay, so let's try. I'm going to sit. I'm going to close my eyes first, and we're going to do exactly what we just did, but sitting. So you're just kind of feeling into, do I get my same movements? Do I get any movements? For some people, sitting will be easier than standing. For most people, I think standing is easier, but you can kind of This will just be, we're experimenting basically. Okay. So I might put my hands around my heart, I might take a nice deep breath. I might say, okay, I'm getting into my body right now, bringing all my energy back into my body, grounded in my body, while also being connected to my higher self. Maybe I imagine that like infinity symbol again, that is connecting me to my higher self. And then I'm just going to say, show me my yes. And then I'm going to use my name one again. I'm just going to say, my name is the correct name. See if you get a yes. And then you can take another deep breath and say, show me my no. And then you could say something like, okay, right now I am in Disneyland. See if you get your no. And then we can try the same thing, but with our eyes open. And then we'll just see, kind of comparing everything, which way you'd want to keep practicing. So I might take another deep breath again with my eyes open, say, show me my no. Oh my God, I said it wrong. Redo. Show me my yes. We'll talk about how you can control the answers, just like with pendulums, because I said no, but I knew my brain was saying yes and my body went yes. So the words sometimes aren't as important as the intention that you're actually thinking in your head. Oh yeah, with my eyes open, then I might say, I love to blank, something that you actually like to do. And then with your eyes open, you could try your no, say, show me my no. And then you could be like, I am 16 years old. And see if you get your no. Okay. So you can keep practicing, or you could also throw in the chat how any of those different ways, I'm curious just how they felt, which way feels the strongest for you. Feel free to throw in just anything you want to share. Ooh, Maggie said her no almost feels like a collapsing. Yeah, some people will really, like when I do it, it's really my body that's moving. That's really how I'm feeling it. But some people will really feel it more internally, like an upwards motion, and yeah, like a collapsing, like an inward motion. I love that you said collapsing. That's like such a good way of describing it. Where it's like a yes is like ah, and a no is like going in. Yeah, Stacy, I got no movement sitting for a very long time, if it makes you feel better. Like very long time. It was probably years where I only if I was standing. Um, but the nice thing is you can stand. um, okay, let's see. Martha says standing works much better for me. Yes. Same. Carolyn, I had the same intensity as standing. Ooh, look at you. That means the body testing's for you. Someone unmuted? No, just talking to myself. Let's see. Danielle, sitting is too subtle for me. Yeah, I love that you use the word subtle. That's exactly. it's much more subtle than standing. Um, totally agree. Now, the more you practice it, I would say for almost everyone, the more, even if you always practice it standing, the more less subtle it becomes when you're sitting too, more obvious. Yeah, Maggie. That would be, I mean, yeah. Maggie's curious to try with rapid fire questions that she doesn't know are coming. I feel like my brain keeps tricking itself. Yeah, maybe, maybe I'll try to do some rapid fire questions. Ooh, Celia's no is stronger sitting than standing. Interesting. Yeah, so it's just really, all of that is just about experimenting to figure out whatever's your most obvious way right now is the way I would keep practicing it. If you feel like guided to keep playing with this. Julie says standing was better for me. Yeah. Yeah. That's, I would say it's almost always standing, but sometimes there are a few people that sitting is easier. Let's see. Okay. Rapid fire questions. I feel like we can do that. What kind of questions do I want to do it? Never mind. I'm getting a no. No rapid fire questions. Sorry, Maggie. I thought it was a great idea though. My guides are like, no, we're not doing that. But let me just think about that. What would help without doing rapid fire questions? So what I used to do, one of the first things, two things that I really practiced questions using this. So at this point, I was pretty confident with my pendulum. If I was like sitting with my pendulum, really like took some deep breaths, felt into my body, I was pretty confident using my pendulum. And then I started trying to branch out into the body testing. And the two things that I used in the beginning every single day that I think really helped me, because the answers don't really matter that much, are I would stand, and because it's standing, I would stand in my closet and I would touch each like shirt that I was thinking about wearing. And I would touch it and I would say, is it in my highest alignment to wear this shirt today? And I would get a yes or a no. And then I would touch another one if I got a no. Is it in my highest alignment to wear this shirt today? Is it in my highest alignment to wear this shirt today? And a few things happen if you do something simple. It doesn't have to be with your clothes. It can be any like easy decision that you make every day that there's not really a right or wrong answer. But what started happening is I would be able to guess the right one within like the first few, where when I first started, I was like, I would have to go through like four to get the right one. So you're also building your intuition while you're doing it and you're practicing your body testing. And sometimes it is really interesting, even with something simple like what shirt to wear, just what can happen by wearing that shirt. Either later on, you're like, oh, that really worked out that I wore that today. Or like, oh, I ended up matching so and so, and it was so funny. So I would go in with what shirt I would wear every day, and then in the kitchen, whenever I was picking out something to drink or something to eat, I would ask my body. So the clothes, I was just asking, I guess, my higher self, but in the kitchen, I was asking my body, um, like if I was like, okay, is it in my highest alignment to drink water right now? Is it in my highest alignment to make coffee? Is it in my highest alignment to make tea? Or like even touching the things. So for me, it helps if I like, especially in the beginning, was like touching the actual thing. So like I'd be in the pantry, like touching the bag of chips. Like, is it in my highest and best to have chips and hummus right now? I'm getting a no. um, but like I would go through or like say, okay, I want to have like fruit with my breakfast, but like which fruit is in my highest alignment? Maybe I touch the bananas. Is it in my highest alignment? Um, and what's nice about that is it's such low stakes. And if you get a yes for something, but you're like, I do not want to eat that, you don't have to. Like you're just practicing. So even if like you get a yes for a shirt and you're like, I really don't want to wear that shirt today. You can still decide like, okay, I'm not going to wear that shirt, and then go about your day. And like, maybe later you're going to be like, and maybe this doesn't happen, but maybe it's like, oh, like the temperature was way different than I was expecting. And I actually do wish I listened to my higher self this morning. Or maybe you're like, see, I was right. I didn't need to wear that. But it's nice using it on low stakes things to just practice at first and get confident in just really feeling the answer, because then it makes it more obvious when you're asking like bigger questions. Like if it's in your highest alignment to like take a certain course or spend money on something, or plan a trip somewhere. um it makes those questions easier when you've already practiced on things that, like, it doesn't really matter what shirt you wear or what fruit you have with breakfast. um those were like fun ways of doing it. You can, just like a pendulum, you can also do this for other people. So, just like a pendulum, when I'm doing it for someone else, I am, ding, that means this is important for someone. Um, when I am using my body testing for someone else, especially at the beginning, what's happening in my mind is I'm connected with my higher self, and my higher self is kind of like chatting with their higher self. Their higher self tells my higher self, and then my body moves. So I'm I'm connected with my, it's like my higher self is like the go between the high, both of our higher selves. So for example, like I just do this with my husband all the time because I just think it's funny. He's not really into this stuff, but like he'll still ask me things once in a while, and I'll be like, he'll be like, oh, I can't like decide what I don't know, he has a headache and he's like, should I take like Advil or a leave? And I'll be like, I'll like ask, like, is it in his highest alignment to take Advil? I just gotta know. Or is it in his highest time alignment to take like this medicine? And I'll be like, well, your higher self said blah blah blah. So sometimes it can just be fun to like um little like answers like that. But obviously you can ask bigger questions for people as well too. I would just always, I am like annoyingly strict about this probably, but for myself, you all are living your own lives. You get to decide where your rules are. But if I'm going to check in on something for someone else, I'm always checking first, is it in my highest alignment to use my energy in this way? And two, is it in their highest alignment for me to check in for them? Um, Sometimes if it's like, if it is bigger questions, sometimes either they're not meant to know the answer and I don't want to mess with that, or it's just not in alignment for me to use my energy to do that. So like say someone emails me, and asks a question, I always check is it in my highest alignment to like look into this further? And if I get a no, I'm going to tell them I'm not allowed to look into it. Or I also check in, is it in their highest alignment for me to even answer this? Because sometimes I really do think we're not meant to know things, and I really don't want to give someone information they're not meant to know. And if they're not meant to know it, sometimes the information also might not be accurate, um, because they're not meant to know. But also a wrong answer can be not helpful down the line too. So I always check it. Is it in my highest and best to look at it? Is it in their highest and best? Is it in both of our highest and best? And then I'll look, especially if it's a big answer, like, is it in my highest alignment to stay with my spouse, or is it in my highest alignment to like have more kids, like those big kind of answers, or moving. But you can do that, same as a pendulum. Same as a pendulum, it doesn't always work. So there can be lots of reasons for that. The biggest two reasons I would say for it not working is, like Maggie just said, I wasn't meant to know the answers. So let's see. Maggie said, I've gotten a few incorrect answers on my pendulum. Is that because I wasn't meant to know those answers? I get a yes for that. You all can feel into that and see if you get a yes too. It could be fun. But yeah, so that's another great point. Before I ask even like a question for me, if it's like kind of one of those bigger questions, I will ask, is it in my highest alignment to ask about blank? So because sometimes we're not meant to know, or sometimes we're just not meant to put our energy somewhere and yet. And so when we do ask and we're not meant to know, I think we do get inaccurate answers sometimes, or we'll just not get, it'll be like the answer just doesn't make sense, or your body doesn't move, or your pendulum doesn't move, or you're getting an answer and you can just feel that it's wrong, but you're like, or it just keeps telling you no. Mine does that. It just keep like my pendulum or my body will just keep telling me no for everything. And then I'm like, am I not supposed to be even doing this right now? And then I get a yes. So either we're not meant to know, but we can always check. Am I not meant to know this? And then usually you get an obvious yes, if that's true. The other biggest reason I think of when we feel like our body testing isn't working, or we feel like we're getting inaccurate answers, is we are meant to not be doing this kind of stuff right now. We're meant to go do like a very human thing. So like rest, water, drink, basically everything that, that mean like we're basically like a glorified house plant, like water, food, sunlight, connection. I think so often, I said this yesterday, it's very easy to forget that we came here, in my perspective at least, to be human and to live a human life. And from my perspective, what that really means at its core is like being present in the moment and living in the moment and connecting with our higher guidance and connecting with the people around us, like that we want to be loving and feel that connection with. And sometimes that's just more in alignment of like doing human things than having fun with our spiritual tools, even if we want to. So yeah, so if we're getting wrong answers or wonky answers or no answers, I would check, am I meant to know this right now? Am I meant to check in on this? Or like, am I meant to go, if I can just hear myself, that was weird. Or am I meant to go do something? Did you want to say something, Maggie? I think she's unmuted by accident. I'm going to mute you. If you wanted to unmute, just let me know. You're good. It's fine. I think I just felt like I heard myself talking to myself. I was like, am I unmuted and muted? Okay. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention today, because this is going to be for some of you, either now or on the replay, is sometimes our intuition like goes down. So this has happened to me like weirdly a lot. I feel like the end of this year where I'll be asking things and I just keep getting a no, like no, for me, no is that way, like a no for everything. And I'm like, what the heck? Like there's no way all these answers are no. And then I'll ask, like, is my intuition down? And I will get a yes for that. And so when I've looked into like why, like when I've asked my higher self why that happens, for me at least, that I was told to tell other people if they asked, is yeah, exactly. We need like a reboot. Like Maggie just said that. It's kind of like as we're expanding, as we're growing, as we are learning more, as we're like up leveling, it's almost like our intuition kind of has to go down for a little so we can integrate all of the things we've done. That's why sometimes you'll hear like you need a period of rest after you've done a lot of like growth or energetic work or a lot of actioning. We usually need like a rest. It's almost like powering down so then you can like power back up. So I'm just saying that in case anyone feels like or comes to a point where they feel like they're so disconnected from their intuition, like maybe usually you can get really easy answers, or usually you can really connect with your higher self or your guides or whatever. You might just be in a period of like intuition down where it's like you just kind of just go inward a little, rest a little, and then usually it's kind of like it reboots and then you're just back online in like an up-leveled, expanded version of yourself, which is cool. Okay. Questions, comments. before I just talk about random stuff at the end. I can just stare at you guys too. Okay. Feel free to keep throwing anything in if you have it. Okay, is there anything else I need to really say? Yes. What did I not talk about? I'm getting there's still something I didn't say. What did I not say? It's gonna be real awkward on the replay when people are just watching this part. Um, I don't know. I feel like we're just like integrating energy right now. Okay, here we go. Let's anchor something in. So let's, I just like to always do this at the end, even if you're on the recording, if you want to leave it in the comments or email me. If you're live, you can obviously do it in the chat. What is one thing you can take from today? It could be something I said, it could be something someone said in the chat. It could be an idea you had just during this time, or something you just want to make sure you remember, but something to really just energetically kind of anchor in that you can bring with you. Yeah. See, Maggie says, I'm thinking of going to an aerial class later and trying to use my body as a full-on pendulum. Definitely update us how that goes. I feel like that would be helpful to you too. I'm hearing like she'll be out of her head more. Like you'll be more in your body doing that. I like that. Oh, Danielle, yes, I welcome my energy back into my body now before testing. Yeah, I love if you listen to a lot of my meditations, I'll say that. I think it's such like a powerful, it feels so good to do that, like welcoming all of our energy back. Because it feels like we can just, it's so easy to just like scatter everywhere, I feel like. So when we just really call it back, I feel like it feels so good. Carolyn, yeah, the meaning of rocking back and forth and connecting so powerfully to my higher self. Yeah. Yeah. That feels like that's going to be really neat for you moving forward too. If you wanted to try that more. Maggie, I love it. Can we only welcome back the good energy? I feel like not all my energy is productive. That is a great point. So what I actually say if I was doing a meditation, so you guys could add this if you want. What I imagine that's happening is when I welcome all of my energy back, or if it's in a meditation, I'm helping people welcome their energy back. I will call on the heart space to transmute any of the not so productive energy as it's coming back. So like I will purposefully call like let's pretend someone cuts you off in traffic and you're like, what the blah, 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 blah. And you're like throwing all this like not so nice energy at them. Or like you get an email from someone, say you're at work and it's like, they're just like not nice and you're like writing back, but you really want to be like, so you're kind of sending that at them a little bit. Or like if you have kids and you like lose it a little and yell at them or a dog or something. I do want to call that energy back because I don't want it just like out there and I don't want it on them after like I'm like, okay, maybe that wasn't my best self. So when I call my energy back, I'm calling all of it. However, the not so great, like when I wasn't the higher version of myself, when I'm calling that back, I'm imagining my heart space is transmuting all of that for me. So it's like coming back, it's getting off of anyone or anywhere where I might not be like proud of that energy, and I'm letting it come back without shame, without guilt. And my heart space is like turning it into love, basically. It's like it's cleaning my energy. So and you can just literally, if you just intend to do that, I believe it does it. You could body test it though and see if see if that's for you. But that's a great point. I like, what do you think the world would be like if everyone called back all their energy all the time? Like their not so nice energy too. I think it would be very interesting. Celia, similar to Martha, using muscle body testing on a regular basis to strengthen my intuition skills for daily living and guidance. Yes, I love it. Let's see. Can you please say that in a statement? Yeah, I can. Might not be exactly the same. Oh, let's see. Okay. The heart space. How would I want to say that? I'm gonna see if I can just type it so it's easier. I welcome all my energy back to me, and I allow my heart space to, oh, I just changed it to heart ease. Heart space, Zoom. I welcome all my energy back to me. Oops, I'm gonna write this just to Carolyn. Here we go. I welcome all my energy back to me, and I allow my heart space to transmute any energy that isn't in my highest alignment into love. That feels good. Feel free to change it a little if anyone wants to. Doesn't have to be exactly that. Amy, love this calling back all energy, transforming, transmuting it back to highest, best love energy. Yes. I like how you wrote that too, Amy. Yeah, I find that so, so helpful. Because we are human. There's no way for us to be, I kind of imagine it like if I were like in a movie and like a video camera was following me around, like, those points where you're like, I don't think I'd want to be presented that way. Those, you could even, that could even be for some of you, either live or on the recording. That could even be a practice to do at night. I know I've gone through periods where I've done this, like when I'm laying in bed and I will like put my hands on my heart and I will literally think about my whole day and anywhere where I maybe wasn't my best self. And I do this, the trick is you have to do this without shame and guilt. This is not making yourself feel bad. We're all human. We all sometimes act in ways that are not in our highest best. But I'll lay in bed and I'll think about those ways and I'll purposely like call that energy back, and just ask that it be, transmuted in my heart space back to love. And even if you want to go a step further than that, you could ask for like loving energy to like bathe yourself, and or the people or things that maybe you had not so nice energy around. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really do believe we're all doing our best all the time. Some of us, some people, and sometimes in some situations, it's just not easy. My 9-year-old's like walking around. He's like, I swear, he's like a cat. Like he's such a cat. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else? I think we might be good. Does anyone have any last words? I feel like I'm actually surprised this went as long as it did. I was like body testing. I'm not gonna have enough to talk about. Well, it was lovely having you all here live, and everyone on the recording, definitely leave a comment or reach out in email. Tomorrow's foundation week, day number 3, which will be really fun. We're going to use Oracle and tarot cards. So you can bring an Oracle deck or a tarot deck or both. And if you don't have one, you can just come and hang out. It's all good. But I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you. You're welcome. You're welcome. And yeah, definitely reach out if any extra questions come up. You can always throw those in email or comments or whatever too. And I will see you all in the next one.